Hello, rich girls. Welcome back to Old Money, the podcast to help you build the trust fund you wish you were born with. I'm your host, Amber Evenson, coming at you from San Diego. This is my last week in San Diego, you guys. Big, huge news for you. I am about to embark on one of the biggest adventures of my life with my partner. We're relocating from San Diego to San Francisco. Why is that important? It has everything to do with today's episode. We are going through a huge upheaval in our life, making huge financial decisions, huge career moves, actually, and everything is chill. Everything feels great. A huge move across the state, business up in the air, and yet we're chilling. We're cruising. Went to the movies last night. I'm going to have a glass of wine after this. Like, we good, sis. And if you would have told me that we were going through anything big like this a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, God forbid 3 years ago, I would be catatonic, or no, maybe even wrapped in a straitjacket and in a padded room. Because anything that was materially challenging would put me under the freaking table. And this episode is all about what life is like on the other side of emotional regulation, what life is like after you get out of financial fight or flight. By the end of this episode, I want you to have some ideas in your head that are going to give you an emotional, expansive future. Like, you know, when you see people on Instagram carrying Birkins and driving G-Wagons, and you're like, that's an expander. If she can do it, I can do it. What doesn't get talked about enough is the emotional component, the relational component, the mindset component of the woman that has those things and has them in a very real way. I'm not talking about the woman who's leveraged all of her credit cards or is relying on a man to pay her way through this world. I'm talking about the type of woman who has a life that looks and feels rich because money is not a threat. Money can finally be a neutral tool. And this woman has actual financial peace, not anxiety and avoidance. We know what it feels like to check our account with a tight stomach and to have a money conversation turn into a freaking huge fight with your boyfriend or your husband or your girlfriend or your wife, or waking up in the middle of the night, like trying to do back of the napkin math on like, can I pay my bills? The other side of that reality, the other side of financial fight or flight, the actual texture of it, most of us have never felt it. And when you're building something and you don't know what it actually feels like on the other side, for me, it was a huge demotivator because I didn't know how good it felt. Most of us have never had ourselves picture that financial piece specifically enough to believe that it's real. And today is the day that we do that. Today is the day that we give you the feelings in your body, the small, ordinary, specific moments that completely change when money and love and abundance feel safe. We're going to talk about how that changes in your relationships, your body, and your work. And it's this ripple effect that is just like the eighth wonder of the world, as they say, compounding interest. These are the things that compound over time. So we're going to talk about it all today and give you some really specific, expansive ideas of what it feels to be at peace, whether it's with your finances or with love. If this is your first Old Money podcast, we are relaunching my level 1 course, Old Money Mindset, right now. And the reason it's relaunching right now is because for me personally, this is a milestone culmination of the work that I've done over the past year when we first launched this. And we're relaunching with a brand new updated workbook that is so sickening. I'm obsessed with it. It's even more built out. It goes module by module. And I wanted to give you all a discount. If you've been waiting to get in, now's the time. It's the only time I'm going to discount it this year. $400 off. Use code WealthCodes100. That's WealthCodes100. And the link's obviously in the show notes. You can get it on my Instagram bio. You can get it on our podcast website, oldmoneypodcast.com. And with that, you will get lifetime access to the 4 modules that are in there that take you from the poor little girl to the wealthy woman mindset. It talks about love. It talks about money. It talks about business. I think that's my favorite. That's a bonus module. Yeah, so there's 3 bonus modules, the workbook, lifetime access, and then another module coming to you in May of this year, going deeper into all of this. And why does this matter? Well, because it's a transformation. It is this like full body new person vibe that I feel now that I know how to deal with myself in a really very real way. I mean, every time I open TikTok, everybody's like, lock in 75 hard, do this morning routine to change your life, post on TikTok 3 times a day. And that's not how old money works. It's not about hustling harder. It's not about adding more to your plate. It's about becoming more strategic on how you do everything. That's the equivalent of like, if you want to make more money, you should get 3 jobs and drive Uber on the weekend. That is not how you make more money. That is how you burn yourself out. And maybe you have more income coming in, but it's not sustainable. It's not growing on itself. It's not systematized, and it's all dependent on you. I think about my mindset now and just the way that I approach everything in the exact same way. It's not going to be about like, buy this supplement or, foam roll your fascia every day, because every time I open my TikTok, it's like all your trauma is stored in your fascia. That might be true, but just working on the physicality of your body is not going to help you in your relationship. Do you know what I'm saying? All of this stuff stacks on top of it. And I didn't feel like anybody was taking care of the foundation. And the foundation started with a conversation that we had with Jessica. And actually, her and I have been voice noting back and forth. Jessica Kerwat, if you haven't listened to that episode, so good. I got so much amazing feedback on it. We're talking about the nervous system. And now I'm in this phase of my life where the thing that I'm investing the most in is my nervous system. It's the most expensive thing that I have. It's the most important thing that I have. It's the tuning fork to my entire experience on this planet. So why would I ignore it? Why would I not tend to it? And there's a lot in there, right? Like I kind of still was struggling up until about last year of like, well, what does that mean? Like I've talked a lot about financial fight or flight. How do I actually get my body and mind out of fight or flight when things in business feel scary, or when I want to buy a nice purse and I'm like, oh, I don't have the money for that right now? Like, how am I meant to react to that? How do I deal with these things? And what I realized looking back, especially when I was in corporate, I mean, you guys, I went to a whole ass workshop for a whole 2 weekends called The Bliss Project with Lori Harder back in 2017 and 2018. And when I tell you the 2018 event that I went to, I had already decided that I was going to quit my job. I had decided January 2018, I was quitting my corporate job. March of 2018 is when I went to that conference. And the whole time, the whole weekend, I wasn't crying about my boyfriend. I wasn't crying about wanting to start a business. I wasn't crying about or processing anything. I was literally just fucking crying about my job and my boss being so mean to me. I was so detached from reality and such in victim mentality and pointing my fingers at everybody else and not even able to see myself. Everything that was hard in my life was somebody else's fault. And I think a lot of us default to that. I think that is the way that we're being trained. I think that is the way that we're imbibing all of this news and all of this, us versus them mentality. And that's why I talk so much about becoming unshakable, especially as it relates to the news. That's a part of this. It's like, we are responsible for ourselves. The government's not coming to save us. A man is not coming to save us. We are here to save ourselves. And we can do this a couple of different ways. We can do this with the energy of fighting off everybody, thinking everything's a threat, hunkering down in our house with a bunch of, ammunition and like rations and being a fucking crazy lunatic, or walking through the life knowing that whatever happens, we can figure it out. Walking through this life in our most expansive, most expressed way, and trusting that people that show up in our life are meant to be there for some reason or another. There's a value that we can get out of it. The money's going to continue to come. We're going to continue to explore and be curious and create value. And it's such a lighter energy, like in your footsteps. It's such the difference between hunkering down in your house, wearing weird old army clothes, painting your face with war paint, and treating the world like it's an action movie, or putting on your favorite pair of heels and a bright pink outfit. You're not afraid to be seen, and you walk out in the world and you, being yourself, magnetize people, energy, opportunities, conversations, business deals, money, and you get paid for being yourself. I mean, what I'm describing of like how you walk around the world is obviously like an example. It's an analogy, but that is the difference of how I'm walking into my relationship. I have a tendency when things get scary or I feel triggered to go to the recluse in army pants, ready to fight anybody who crosses my path, and I'm gonna fucking kill you. And the difference is now is like I'm dancing around the kitchen going la 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 and like just being more relaxed and feminine and like flirtatious and chill and like going through my life. I mean, the changes that have happened in my body specifically are really incredible. Every time, I keep saying this, every time I get on TikTok, they're telling me to buy something to lock in and change my body and release my inflammation and all the things. You know what actually makes that happen is when you regulate your nervous system. When you regulate your nervous system and you feel calm and in control and confident in your life, you release all that chronic tension in your neck and your shoulders. You're not physically holding on to unprocessed trauma and stress. You release it not all at once, but because you have the tools now. That's how I've done it anyway, with the tools that are in Old Money Mindset. I don't feel physically stressed anymore. If I feel something physically in my body, it's because I worked out really hard. And thanks, Anna, but like my butt's on fire from doing too many, glute bridges. Our bodies do hold on to stuff and they give us signals. And as women, especially, and I think this has to do with having to go to work and school while we're on our periods, we are just trained to push through and just be okay. And especially if you've had painful periods or you've had struggles with your menstrual cycle, having to show up in a conference room when you are cramping, wanting to die, or like shitting your pants, I'm sorry, no woman should have to go through that. It is absolute torture. But we are programmed to shut up, put up, and just go to work. Do you know what I'm saying? That to me is insane. And that is one of the reasons why I think so many women have chronic tension and pain in their body, because it's just, you have to be okay. You just press on. Like a crazy story for me was I was hosting this huge event on a bluff in Del Mar. We were trying to get a hotel entitled. So I was hosting this huge event with my company. This was back in 2017. And my boyfriend at the time had been gone at a 6-month-long business trip, let's call it. And the day that I found out that he was going to come back was the day that it was the event. And out of nowhere, I had the worst sciatica of my life. Like I couldn't stand up. I couldn't bend over. I couldn't walk. I was like in pain. I was crying. And one of my coworkers gave me a muscle relaxant. I took it. I went home and I took it. And I slept from Saturday mid-afternoon until Monday morning. I literally slept for a whole day and a half and woke up and I had to go to work on Monday morning. I've never been more discombobulated in my life. And then I was having chronic pain. I was going to physical therapy. I was literally so confused. Like, where did this come from? You want to know what resolved it? When that relationship ended completely. My body was like, get away from this relationship. Like something is not right. You are not processing something. You are ignoring something. Our body tells us. Now I can read my body and I'm so much more in tuned. And I don't know if you're like this, like I used to get sick over every Christmas break or like right at the start of summer vacation after school. You're studying for finals so hard. And then you literally get home to your parents' house or whatever, and you're safe. You're out of fight or flight and you crash and you get sick. Because your adrenaline has been keeping you running, your immune system finally gives up after sustained vigilance and you get sick. You get sick on the time that you wanted to like see your friends and your family and relax. You're sick now. That sucks. And for me, like my relationship with food and sleep and rest has normalized. It's not perfect, but the connection between your body and your habits and like your awareness of your body. Now, if I'm starting to feel sick, I can actually take a break and take care of myself without fear that my whole life is going to fall apart. Like, do you ever have that vigilance of like, I can't take a day off work, like nothing's going to be there, or I can't ask anybody for help, or like, and I know what it's like with kids too. It's like, who else is going to take care of them? Well, who else is going to take care of you? And what adjustments are going to happen in your family so that you can advocate for yourself? You can get your family or your partner, whoever is there to help you, to support you, and that you can voice your needs, and your needs are not being voiced in a state of complete dysregulation and panic, but you're voicing your needs in a way that is going to effectuate the outcome that you want. There's a subversive thing in this too, and I think this is a good segue for relationships. Like, if we want to be really shitty to men right now, we can, okay? And I'll say it this way. If you want to get what you want, there is a way to get what you want. The way to not get what you want is to criticize, demean, emasculate, force, control, yell, scream, put up a fight. If you try to express your needs in those ways, you're probably not going to get your needs met. But when you can be strategic about how you approach any conversation, this might be with your partner, with your family, with your boss, and you make it a win-win and you come in it and you're strategic about the approach so that you are presenting this need, this want, this question in a way that the other person isn't going to run away screaming from you or go back and fight you. When you have your shit together and you're calm and you can be strategic, I mean, you can use this tip for good or evil. You can get what you want because you're a better salesperson in that moment. And by salesperson, I mean you're regulated. You're taking care of how you're responding or asking of your partner for whatever it is that you need. What used to become a fight is now not going to trigger them because you show up different. You present your information different. You present your needs different. You can still have disagreements, but it doesn't have to activate a survival response in you or in them. That is not a small thing. That is the foundation of a different kind of partnership. And it also, for me, is like, okay, you don't have to respond right now. Like all the tools that are in old money mindset have helped me get to the place of not, and there's no manipulation here. It's very clean of like, okay, now is not the right time to have this conversation because we're not going to get the outcome that we want because I'm not fully resourced. And being able to say that and put that in practice with my partner over the course of the last few years has taken us from like constantly rocky to super solid foundation. And this is so important. Like, I want to say it again. If you want to get what you want, you've got to say what you want in a way that's going to be received by the person you're asking. You have to be strategic. You have to have the right approach. You want to take care, not just to get what you want and be manipulative, but you have to take care to not present your case in a way that's going to make them feel challenged or criticized or like you're trying to take something from them. This is the truth. If you're in a relationship, if you're trying to negotiate for a raise, if you're trying to negotiate for a divorce, you have to be smarter than just your emotional reaction. When you can control your emotions and you can be strategic, it's going from using your amygdala, which is the part of your brain that helps you survive, and you're just going to yell and scream and dump and be like, do this thing for me. Why can't you see this? Can't you see how much I'm struggling right now? Like, and it takes you to your prefrontal cortex where you can take an extra beat to be like, okay, I need help in this way. Let me negotiate for this. Let me be strategic about this. Let me make this an emotionally compelling argument that's not going to offend the other person. I don't want to offend the other person. Let me take care to make sure I present this in a way. When you can get your emotions under control, you have a better life because you get more of what you want. The communication piece is everything. When you can get your emotions under control and emotionally regulate, whether it's around money or love or work or your family or a boundary or whatever, you set the tone for a different type of relationship because of the way you show up. So much of what I experienced in my life and what I was taught, like what was, I don't want to even say what I was taught, what I absorbed was that my situation was usually going to be somebody else's fault, or there was a reason that I was in this situation or that situation. And I never really learned personal accountability. And then I also had a lot of resentment, right? So like, as they say, your trauma is not your fault, but healing from it is your responsibility. And that doesn't just mean you need to go to therapy every single week, because for me, that stopped working. What I needed to take responsibility for was like, yeah, there was some stuff that happened in my life that screwed me up pretty bad. And I had some pretty bad ideas about money. I had some bad ideas about relationships. And I wanted to stop living in that way. This is where the generational curses stop, is when we decide we want to do something different than what our default is. And when you can recognize what those defaults were, what those stories were, and then change them actively, that is creating generational wealth for your next of kin, for goodness sakes, or your nieces, or your nephews, or the relationship that you're in. It becomes richer because you're not just going off of this default programming that you absorbed. And if you're dating right now, it's the same thing. You will stop attracting and you will stop tolerating relationships that reflect your old nervous system. Whether that's with partners who don't respect you or don't align with what you want, you know there's something else around the corner. Clients who don't pay on time, friendships that are built around commiserating around being broke or always complaining about men or work or traffic or whatever. If you're just going to be in the default state of just repeating and doing the thing, then that's the type of life you're going to have. If you want to get conscious and you want to acknowledge, okay, I was programmed to make that normalized, but that's not normal for me. I don't want friendships where all we do is get together and complain. Then you get to decide to change that fundamentally. Your relationships get richer, you get more of what you want. Your internal state changes. You start to see things like your financial security is not from your paycheck. It's from you. It's from you doing the job. It's from you adding the value. I used to think that the only way that I could get paid was if I had a job. My internal state changed and I started to trust myself. I started to bet on myself. I mean, these are some of the ripple effects that I'm trying to describe of how meaningful this transformation is once you learn how to become emotionally regulated and you actually learn how to deal with that trauma. And it's not a one-time thing. It's not just a workbook. It's a tool book, right? The workbook is amazing for working through all of your money stuff. That's why I designed it that way. But all the tools that are in that workbook that you can reference back to. And again, if you were previously enrolled in Old Money Mindset, like the whole workbook's updated for you. It is sickening. I'm obsessed with it. And then of course, if you enroll right now, you get the brand new workbook. I mean, it's all these tools that I've just like kept pulling back from in my life all the time that help me regulate when things get tough, or I do as like maintenance, and they're fun little activities. It's not a 42-step process. It's like a process of when I get activated with my partner, like I know what to do. The quality of my decisions have changed so much. And it's not because I'm any smarter. It's just because like I'm using the right part of my brain. I'm not thinking from a survival mode. Like previous me was like, even if I knew it was going to be a terrible relationship with a client, even a past client that was abusive to me came back and was like, I need you to do this consulting gig. I'd be like, yes, okay, cool, because it's $100,000 and I need the money. That's what I would say to myself. How stupid. And then I would pay for that with my pride or my energy or overworking, over delivering, or doing something that I didn't want to do. That's not long-term thinking. That is literally using my amygdala to run my business. Like, how dumb. Opportunities actually used to feel really scary to me too, like good opportunities. Like if it was stretching me or if it felt like something I wasn't ready for, they used to feel scary and now they feel exciting. And the power is in what you say no to make room for what can come through. I just had a conversation. I was invited for a paid speaking gig in a great town with a great group by a great friend. And it's so flattering to be considered for that. But the reality is that even though it's a paid speaking gig, there's travel and flights and time commitment and prep, and then time away, the opportunity cost of now that I'm going to that event and spending time with those people, I'm not spending time with my people and my team or my ideal client profile, because this thing that I was invited to is not with the ideal client profile, but it feels like a shiny object. It feels like something I want to do, right? But it's not the right use of my time. And I would probably be tempted to go do that because of the ego of it all. But now I can like reorganize the opportunity into like, is this really the best thing for me or not? I think the other big thing when you get emotionally regulated is that you stop under earning, because now the conversation is not, will they leave me? Will they be offended by my price? It's a pattern shift where your nervous system root of undercharging or under earning is recognized for what it really is: fear. Like fear of being too much, fear of being judged, fear of getting rejected. All of these things that drive us to undercharge come from fear. And so when you can recognize that and you go through the process, your fear regulation changes and your behavior changes. One of my favorite things that I've heard from a couple of the Old Money Mindset girlies, and I have them all written out here, every single person from Cash Consciousness to the 2005 alumni class, 2026 class. A lot of you have already joined, which makes me so happy. The thing that I love to hear the most is that they've asked for the raise, they held their price, they raised their price, They had opportunities they said yes to that felt really aligned. They had opportunities they said no to that didn't feel aligned. And that starts happening after they do the internal work, because money follows the internal state. It always has. And building that internal state is not the slow path. It's the only path that actually sticks. You're not going to earn more money by taking more supplements or rolling out your fascia. You're going to make more money compounding interest by taking care of your nervous system, taking care of your trauma, taking care of the beliefs that you no longer want, and installing new beliefs little by little by little over time. Everything that I just described, the ease in your body, the different quality in your relationships, the work decisions, the money decisions that you can finally make from your full capacity, the money that follows all of it when you stop being afraid, when you stop being in fight or flight, which is fear. You're fearful of something. That's the root. That's what keeps us in fight or flight in our relationships, with our money. We're afraid of something. And in this whole program, Old Money Mindset, you're uncovering that, and then you're learning what to do with it. That's the whole process. And here's the really big thing. I've talked about this so much, and it's like the crux of it all. Like, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you've heard me say this before. We're all trying to get wealthy for what? For a bag, for a PJ, for a vacation twice a year. What are we all getting rich for? When you strip back the material things and you want to buy a house, what does that represent to you? Security. You want to have the clothes, what does that represent to you? Being admired. You want to have the money for the Botox and the facials. You want to feel pretty. You want to feel desirable. You want to be a business owner. You want to be viewed as successful. You want to be perceived a certain way. You want to feel something. You want to have security or acceptance or all of these root emotions. Those are the things that are driving all of us to make money. And there's nothing really wrong with that. Having acceptance is, evolutionarily speaking, like part of our survival mechanism. Being admired because you've done something meaningful, well, that's a nice perk, but it'd be better if you were just doing something meaningful, I guess. But the reality is we're all chasing something. We're all chasing the security, the safety, the clothes, the way that we think money's going to make us feel. We're all chasing wealth because there's something that we think is going to happen when we get the wealth, and we're going to feel a certain way. And this happens a lot with women in losing weight. When I hit my target weight, I will feel this way. When I get married, I will feel this certain way. When I get that new job, I will feel this certain way. Almost everything humans strive to achieve is not chasing the thing that they say they want. It's chasing something deeper. It's chasing the feeling they think they will have when they get the thing. Whatever it is for you with money, security, safety, admiration, of feeling self-confident, all of those things are not going to come when you make the money. They're just not. It's not like when you get a certain number of zeros in your bank account, then you just install all of these new bits of confidence and acceptance, and you start getting admired and you start getting asked to be in Business Insider. And that's certainly not true when you get married. If you've ever been in a position where you're like, okay, when this next chapter of our life happens, like everything will get better. It doesn't, right? It's like they say, wherever you go, there you are. Because even when things change, like you stay the same. Unless you don't stay the same, unless you purposefully rewire. So the bad news is like you get, $6 million in your bank account. You don't feel secure from that, really. You will still continue to be striving. And I know this to be true from everybody that I've ever talked to who makes money and has money and is striving towards something. You have a goal, you'll have another one. So the bad news is that getting the thing, losing the weight, getting the car, getting the job, it's not going to give you the feelings that you're chasing. But the good news, and this is really good news, is that you can give yourself those feelings now. You can decide to be in a state of secure now. That's not dependent on anybody else. You can decide to be in a state of confident now, and you can build that. I hate fake it till you make it. That's not what this is. This is understanding what is driving you and then figuring out how to give yourself that feeling today. or maybe in 4 days or 4 weeks when you go through Old Money Mindset. We've been talking about the nervous system architecture of wealth and the dysregulation that I didn't know I had, that you maybe didn't know that you had, the inheritances you didn't choose, all of that broke mindset thinking, all of these patterns running your financial decisions in the background, the patterns running your relationship that you don't even know are happening. We've talked about the difference between performing wealth and actually building it. And now we've talked about like what is possible with calm, what the other side actually looks and feels like, the texture of it. It's a lot better over here. And I'm not saying that my life is perfect, but it's sure as hell a lot less chaotic than it was a year ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago. And the reason for that is because of everything that I do that I then translated and put into Old Money Mindset for you. It's my work, or like this is my practice, my mindset. And I'm telling you, the identity work, the nervous system work, the practical rewiring, it's done in a sequence that for me really finally stuck. And if you're a woman who is smart and capable and successful in many things, and money is an area that still feels like it's running you instead of the other way around, or you're having the same fight with your partner all the time, you're not broken. You're not missing discipline or information or a supplement or a freaking lacrosse ball to row out your psoas on, as they tell me to do every day on TikTok. You are just missing the internal shift that makes everything else work. And this is that shift. The link is in the show notes. The door is open. If you want to register with a discount, the only discount, and next year the whole course will be more expensive, you can get $100 off by using Wealth Codes 100. This is the foundation for me. This is everything that changed everything for me. This is what I'm calling like my level 1. Level 2 is Old Money Method. And Old Money Method, that's where we talk about saving, investing, how to actually run a budget, how to invest. All of those things are all in that course. That's the level 2 course. If you register for Old Money Mindset during this promo period, which expires on Sunday, May 3rd at midnight, you can get, again, Wealth Codes 100 for $100 off of Old Money Mindset. And I'll also send you a discount code for Old Money Method that you can use if you want. No pressure, but it's there if you also want to layer on the practical stuff. In Old Money Mindset, it's 4 modules: Wealth Reset, the Poor Little Girl, the Wealthy Woman, and then installing the Old Money Mindset. Then there's 3 bonus modules, all of the business stuff, the relationship stuff, all the background stuff, and then the workbook. You get lifetime access to it. It's never going to go away. And I'm really proud of this. And I know it will make an impact in so many women's lives. So if you've already enrolled in Old Money Mindset, send me a DM. Let me know how it's going for you. I love you guys so much. And I will talk to you on the next episode from San Francisco. I can't believe that we're moving. It's so crazy. I have so much to share with you on the next episode. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.